Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. Their pharmacists are here to help, offering a wide range of vaccines including flu, COVID, pneumonia, and RSV immunizations. Visit your local Safeway or schedule online at safeway.com/pharmacy.
Sir Paul McCartney played a show at Coors Field over the weekend. But Lodo's biggest act of 2025 just announced an encore performance.
Because this is the greatest show in the sports!
The Savannah Bananas will bring Banana Ball, that's what they call their particular flavor of baseball, back to Coors Field for 2 days next August. Want to go? You'll have to join the lottery list first. It's open now through October 31st. I'm Mateo Schimpf, filling in for Arlo and Bozzy, and Haley, and Dan. Coming up, Coloradans are dealing with the fallout from two recent disasters.
My entire existence at this point is like in that place, and, I just don't know what I'm going to do.
You'll hear the latest from the shopping center fire in Nederland and flooding in southern Colorado. Then, ChatGPT. How much air pollution does an AI data center make?
And they do this kind of stuff in the poorer neighborhoods because this wouldn't go down, a few blocks up. No way.
We'll take you to North Denver, where local residents have questions about a new neighbor. Plus, two communities honor Indigenous Peoples Day on the Front Range.
We have creation stories that reside from this mountain.
It's Tuesday, October 14th. Here is the news in Colorado today. The worst of the rains have hopefully passed in southwest Colorado. A flood warning is in effect for the San Juan River through tomorrow afternoon. Governor Polis issued an emergency declaration Sunday after communities like Pagosa Springs were rocked by rain over the weekend.
After this very dry summer, it's a blessing and a challenge at the same time.
That's Pagosa Springs town manager David Harris. At its peak, the San Juan River, which passes through Pagosa Springs, registered a gauge height of more than 12 feet on Saturday. Prior to the storm, it was at under 4 feet.
It wouldn't qualify as a 100-year flood, but it was still a very substantial amount of rain that was hit, and we do have damages to properties as well as both in the public and private sectors.
Hundreds of homes were evacuated as water surged through the streets. No deaths have been reported, but local officials say Pagosa Springs and Vallecito were the hardest hit. It will likely take days before the town knows the extent of the damage. The rush of water did prompt some residents to try and float the swollen river, which drew some frustration from Harris.
We know that there's been some severe flooding and there's some sewage operations upriver that are underwater. So it's concerning that people would endanger themselves that way, but there are those who become belligerent.
So maybe wait until it's safe to get in the river. And remember to help your neighbors too. Across the state in the foothills, local businesses in Nederland are assessing the damage from a different disaster. Late last week, a fire destroyed a shopping plaza in town.
My entire existence at this point is like in that place, and, I just don't know what I'm going to do.
Tim Dumke owns a laundromat that was lost to the fire.
This shopping center has pretty much been what felt like home.
And small business owners whose shops survived the blaze are worried about their neighbors and the economic impact. Melody Baumhover runs the Carousel of Happiness, a major tourist draw to the town.
It's devastating. Knowing all these people and all of the love and work they've put into all their local businesses, it's really sad to see it gone. We've got loyal customers and kids that were taking pottery classes there, and kids going to after-school programs at Wild Bear. All sorts of reasons for our whole entire community to be mourning right now.
On Friday, Governor Polis and Congressman Joe Neguse were on the ground to offer their support.
It's a huge tragedy for not just this community, but the entire county.
Polis said that these burned businesses make up a big portion of the taxes that feed the local government and support residents.
There's probably about 60, 70, 80 people whose livelihood was connected to this site. Some of them were the owners of the small businesses, others were employees. It's going to be challenging. The music store here, it's not just a matter of, we can reopen somewhere else. There's no inventory.
Agents from the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives are helping investigate the fire, even though they're not getting paid during the federal government shutdown. The governor said it'll take weeks to investigate what happened, and the process of planning and rebuilding, that will start next. On Sunday, in a first step towards normalcy, the grocery store next to the burned shopping plaza reopened. Nederland's Mayor, Billy Giblin, is already thinking about what he can learn for the future.
We need to be ready to evacuate and also work to better harden our community for wildfire and for fire. And even, a lot of great city fires all started in one building. So it's just ways we can harden our community to withstand these kinds of things that will happen.
Anytime you punch a question into ChatGPT or even just Google something, the result pings back from a data center, facilities that use massive amounts of electricity and water. But that's not the only environmental risk. In North Denver, some local residents worry an upcoming data center facility could harm local air quality. CPR's Sam Brash has spent weeks looking into the project and whether the AI boom could pollute neighborhoods nationwide. Hey, Sam.
Hey, Mateo.
Okay, so from what I understand, data centers are pretty plain buildings packed with massive computers. If they're producing air pollution, where's it coming from?
Yeah, I had the same thought when an editor assigned me this story a few months ago. He said, can you look into the connection between air quality and data centers? I was like, these are just like big warehouses or office buildings full of computers. There's no smokestack or tailpipe, so I'm not sure it's going to be a really big issue. But when I looked into it, I found that it actually is something that people probably should think about. That's because these facilities use so much electricity that there's a good chance that it'll increase generation at fossil fuel power plants. And they also have massive fossil fuel, either natural gas or diesel powered generators that flip on whenever there's a blackout. That's where you see the smokestacks. And it's particularly concerning when the data center is in a densely populated area. And in my research, I found a perfect example is a facility a company called CoreSite is currently building in Elyria, Swansea, a largely Hispanic neighborhood in North Denver.
And what will this data center look like?
So it's going to be a big 3-story building. What's less obvious when you just see the construction site is what's revealed in the plans. So those show that CoreSite will install 14 backup diesel-powered generators on the south side of the property. And that's less than a block from all kinds of places with sensitive populations. A park, a future senior living center, a current affordable housing complex, and a local low-income health clinic.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, CoreSite has gotten an air pollution permit to build these generators, and it only allows them to run these systems during blackout or for short daytime testing runs between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. But that's not enough to reassure people like Dr. Pam Valenza, who's the top doctor at Tepeyac Community Health Center, the low-income health clinic just a block from the future data center.
We really don't know what the full impact of having a data center next to the clinic or in a highly dense area has on the community.
And one of the big questions is that when these generators turn on, will residents have to deal with unsafe levels of noise and maybe air pollution too?
And those residents, what did they think about the project?
A lot of residents don't understand why they're building the data center in this particular densely populated neighborhood and not somewhere with more open land. So Julia Moat lives in Venia Apartments. That's the affordable housing complex right next door. And she says it's already common to find a black film on her windows. She worries the data center could make the area's air pollution issues even worse.
And they do this kind of stuff in the poorer neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Because this wouldn't go down, a few blocks up. No way.
Other residents I spoke to had a similar perspective. They told me this is just a continuation of the area's history, another big polluter coming in. And so their feeling was just kind of, here we go again.
Is there any research being done about this? Have scientists looked into this issue at all?
This is something that scientists are starting to look into. One really good example is some modeling from UC Riverside and Caltech published late last year. It's now undergoing peer review, but what it found is that the data center build-out could result in as many as 1,300 premature deaths every year by 2030 due to air pollution. So, cancers, asthma, things like that could result in an additional 1,300 deaths every year.
Wow, that's pretty significant. So what has CoreSite said about those concerns? And has it said why it chose this particular location?
Megan Ruskowski is a spokesperson for the company. She said that the site was just one of the few undeveloped parcels of land in the city that's already zoned for industrial use. It's also really close to 2 existing data centers operated by CoreSite, which means that future AI users can get their responses quickly just because there's less lag time. She also added that the CoreSite generators will face inward towards the property instead of out towards the neighborhood. And that was a decision, she said, the company made after conducting, studies on wind and noise and decided that was the best option to not bother nearby residents.
Reporting done by a real human being, CPR Sam Brash. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Mateo.
A 7-acre stretch of Denver's largest park began a new chapter yesterday.
This South Meadow area is going to be returned to prairie land. We're going to see a lot of indigenous plants that are indigenous to Colorado, some of our medicinal plants. So you'll see chokecherries and some of the other things that we use a lot in our cultural practices.
The turning of the page happened on Indigenous Peoples Day, and it's meant to honor some of the people, animals, and plants native to the area. Artist Christina Maldonado Badhand consulted on the city park push known as the Living Land Project. In this first phase, the meadow's turf will be converted to native prairie grass.
And then over in the Lily Pond area will be a medicine garden. And
Maldonado Badhand says there will be art and areas for people to hold celebrations and ceremonies. She hopes all of this can be a space for reclamation.
When people say land back, it's not like we want to kick everybody off our land and take it back. It's we want to be the stewards of the land again and have that relationship with land where we're actually honoring the land and we're paying attention to the animal ecosystems and actually taking care of the space that we're in.
Sid Whiting is a 65-year-old Lakota elder and also consulted on the project.
And one of the things that we're hoping that is places like this educate people, that we get curriculums that really are the stories of Indigenous and Native people, that those curriculums tell the seriousness of our stories, but yet tell the diversity of all the different tribal, Indigenous, and Native people.
From City Park to the summit of Pikes Peak, where yesterday, tribal nations indigenous to the region held a blessing ceremony as the sun rose. This was the 3rd year for the celebration. It also marked the unveiling of 2 new plaques inside the Pikes Peak Summit House to highlight the Comanche Nation's and Kiowa tribes' native language names for the mountain.
Thine goat! Thine goat! Thine goat!
Amanda Hill is a tribal historic preservation officer for the Kiowa tribe. That phrase you just heard translates to White Mountain.
It's no longer white because of this global warming and the things that are happening right now. We need to think about that and actually care for these spaces and talk about that management and space and our responsibility to our world around us.
The Comanche Nation's name for the peak translates to place to pray and sit. Lloyd Heminoki was there as a representative.
And this place here is a place where natives would come and seek a vision quest, obtain medicine, and pray. So
the new plaques join 4 others, which represent the native names from the Ute, Pawnee, Jicarilla, Apache, and Arapaho nations. In all, there are 10 sacred tribal nations of Pikes Peak, and the goal is to have them all represented. Mark Wing of the Ute Mountain Ute tribe, which is well known for its connection to the mountain region.
And we have creation stories that reside from this mountain.
Their name translates to Sun Mountain. Dozens of tribes were forced from what is known today as Colorado. But Indigenous leaders in the state are pushing for not just recognition of a painful past, but action to address injustices. Also, in a new episode of Colorado in Depth, you can hear the story of how one Indigenous leader is advocating for the restoration of some of what was lost when settlers pushed Native people out of the state. Find a link to that in our show notes, or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey yo ho, hey yo, hey yo.
Reporting for today's show came from KRCC's Andrea Schalfen, Denverite's Kyle Harris, and CPR's Sandy Patulga and Tom Hess. Fear not, Bazzi will be back hosting tomorrow, and thank you for letting me steer our ship for the day. While you're thinking of how much you enjoyed the ride, go ahead and drop us a review in your podcast app. We read them all. Seriously. I'm Mateo Schimpf. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. This fall, gear up for get-togethers and game days with Safeway's Game Time 4x event. Earn 4x reward points on essentials, from chicken wings to chips and dips. Safeway has everything you need to cheer on your local team at Safeway.com or in the app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.